In the world of hip-hop rap icons, few names resonate as powerfully as 50 Cent. Known for his fierce persona and commanding presence, he projects an image that seems impervious to the trials of life. Yet behind the facade, we find a complex interplay of motivations, fears, and desires that have shaped his public identity. As we peel back the layers, we begin to understand the forces that have driven him to become the icon we see today. At the heart of 50 Cent's public image lies a burning desire to prove himself, an archetypal quest reminiscent of the hero's journey. This is not just about fame or wealth, but a deeper need to validate his existence and overcome a past filled with adversity. Through the lens of the Enneagram, we might see him as embodying the traits of a Type 8, the challenger, driven by a core desire for control and protection. His public persona is a fortress, constructed to guard against vulnerability and perceived weakness. The crucible of 50 Cent's early life, marked by familial instability and the unforgiving streets, formed the backdrop against which he would forge his identity. In this ecosystem, strength was currency, and survival demanded an unyielding exterior. The industry, a reflection of these dynamics, rewards such displays of power, encouraging a persona that is both warrior and king. Yet beneath this armor lies a shadow self, formed by the wounds of past betrayals and the pressure to maintain his throne. Relationships within this world are as complex as they are strategic. Allies and rivals intermingle, each playing their part in the narrative of rise and conquest. In the realm of hip-hop rap icons, connections often oscillate between loyalty and competition, with each interaction potentially altering the trajectory of one's career. For 50 Cent, these dynamics manifest in alliances that bolster his empire, while rivalries fuel the public spectacle, adding layers to his enigmatic persona. The public mask of 50 Cent is a masterpiece of construction, designed to project invincibility. Yet the pressure to sustain this image can be immense. The industry rewards consistency and punishes deviation. Thus, the emotional mask becomes both a shield and a prison. The need to constantly defend his territory and relevance requires a relentless energy, often at odds with the private needs for peace and authenticity. As we delve deeper, the Enneagram Type 8's gift of leadership can also become its trap. The same resilience that drives one forward can lead to isolation, a fortress that keeps emotional connections at bay. The industry applauds the lone warrior, but at what cost? The shadow path of the challenger is fraught with the risk of alienation, where the very strength that defines becomes a barrier to deeper, more genuine human experiences. In this exploration of 50 Cent's public persona, we encounter universal themes of identity, power, and the roles we play. How often do we find ourselves adopting masks to navigate the expectations of the world around us? Where do our own desires for control and recognition intersect with the roles we assume? As we reflect on these questions, we gain insight not just into the life of an icon, but into the human condition itself. Consider the paradox of the Enneagram Type 8 as it manifests in 50 Cent's life. While his public persona demands strength and dominance, there exists a delicate tension between his exterior and interior worlds. The challenger type thrives on control and self-assurance, often using these as shields against vulnerability. However, this perpetual fortress, when left unchecked, can lead to an internal landscape of solitude, where true intimacy becomes a battleground rather than a sanctuary. Amidst the echoes of hip-hop's rhythms and rhymes, 50 Cent stands as a testament to the power of resilience shaped by adversity. His story, etched with episodes of violence and triumph, speaks to the archetypal journey of the wounded warrior, one who has faced the abyss and returned, bearing scars as symbols of survival. His public battles, whether lyrical feuds or boardroom maneuvers, reveal the archetype of the warrior, driven by a need to conquer both external and internal demons. Yet within every warrior lies the possibility of the king, a ruler not just of domains but of the self. This transition requires a profound integration of the shadow, the unacknowledged parts that whisper of insecurity and fear. For 50 Cent, this means confronting the deeper aspects of his psyche, those places where the need for power can mask a yearning for connection and understanding. Here lies the true challenge, embracing the softer elements of his nature without perceiving them as weaknesses. In the intricate dance of alliances and rivalries, we see a reflection of his inner world. Trust becomes a currency, and betrayal a constant threat. The hip-hop ecosystem mirrors these dynamics, where collaboration often treads a fine line alongside competition. These relationships push and pull at his inner balance, constantly challenging his ability to discern friend from foe, ally from adversary. This ongoing negotiation of trust and power is not unique to 50 Cent, but speaks to a universal human experience. The tension between vulnerability and strength, between openness and defense. The public's gaze, ever watchful, adds another layer to this complexity. The need to maintain a certain image can create a divided self, where public perception diverges sharply from private reality. This split is a common thread in the lives of public figures, but for someone like 50 Cent, whose career is built on a foundation of authenticity and rawness, it presents a unique dilemma. How does one navigate the expectations of an audience while remaining true to oneself? This question becomes a central theme in understanding his journey, a balancing act that requires constant negotiation of identity. In Jungian terms, the integration of the shadow is essential for wholeness. It involves acknowledging those parts of ourselves that we might prefer to keep hidden and allowing them to inform our actions and choices. For 50 Cent, this might mean embracing the complexity of his narrative, not just the triumphs but the trials, the moments of vulnerability that have shaped him as much as, if not more than, his victories. We see this complexity reflected in his music, where themes of survival, adversity, and triumph intersect time and again. His lyrics, often raw and unfiltered, provide a window into his psyche, offering glimpses of both the external battles he has faced and the internal ones that continue to shape him. In this sense, his art becomes a canvas for shadow work, a place where unconscious fears and desires can find expression and, ultimately, integration. This process of shadow integration is not a linear journey, but rather a spiral, where revisiting past wounds can lead to deeper understanding and healing. For 50 Cent, this might involve revisiting the traumas of his past, not to dwell in them, but to reclaim the parts of himself that were lost or fragmented in the process. It is an exploration of the self that demands courage, as it often requires leaving behind the armor that once provided comfort and safety. In moments of stress, the Enneagram Type 8 may retreat into the behaviors of a Type 5, becoming more secretive and detached. This withdrawal can be a strategy for self-preservation, yet it also risks cutting off the very connections that nurture and sustain. Conversely, in times of growth, the Type 8 can move towards the positive traits of a Type 2, embracing compassion and vulnerability, opening the heart to deeper connections. For 50 Cent, navigating these stress and growth spirals involves not just a battle with external forces, but an inner revolution. It is about finding balance between the fierce independence that has served him well and the interdependence that allows for deeper, more meaningful relationships. It is the journey from warrior to wise ruler, from conqueror to caretaker of both self and others. His story, with all its twists and turns, invites us to reflect on our own paths. Where do our battles lie, and how do we navigate the tension between strength and vulnerability? How do we integrate the parts of ourselves that we might prefer to keep hidden? In exploring these questions, we find not just an understanding of 50 Cent, but a deeper insight into our own human condition. The universal quest for identity, authenticity, and connection in a world that often demands masks and armor.